Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel, and today it's week 45 of predictions of League One. Plus, we're going to do Stevenage versus Birmingham, which is tonight. And for that reason, we're going to go straight into this because we've got a lot of games to cover. Stevenage versus Birmingham. Stevenage last time out, they did a decent job against Bristol Rovers. 1-0 winners away from home there. But Bristol Rovers had this game wrapped up, if you look at the stats. And they actually should have been able to win this one, Bristol Rovers. However, unfortunately, they just couldn't get the shots on target in, or a good enough clear shot on target with a good effort. A lot of bobbling shots, a lot of just let's just hit it and hope that it hits the target. I think about 11 shots for them, and that game was really up for the grabs for Bristol Rovers. However, Stevenage with just 30% possession, 6 shots against Bristol Rovers 11, 2 shots on target and 1 in the net against Bristol Rovers, 3 on target and none in the net. I will say this, Stevenage guy that got tackled in the box and the ball went out for a goal kick, and he starts thumping the ground hoping for a penalty. Absolutely disgraceful from the Stevenage player there. There was not a hope in hell that was a penalty. Why act like a baby on your knees, slamming your hands both on the floor at the same time, requesting a penalty? That was absolutely atrocious behaviour. Don't want to see that again. Thank you very much, Stevenage player. So we go on to Birmingham, who beat Burton. I had 2 B's here. And Birmingham really started very slowly here. Burton managed to catch them out a couple of times in that first half. Really, at the beginning, certainly. They ran hellfire at the Birmingham back line, a little bit like that Bolton did when they won them. And it seemed to work, but they just couldn't get the finish, could they? They couldn't get the ball in the net. But I tell you, it really did work against this Birmingham side. And as soon as, and this is the point I'll make from this game, is the management really did a really good job here. They realised that Burton were taking them on the break and catching them with just like at one point, just one defender there, and the rest pulled up far too high. And they started to just pull back to make sure they couldn't catch them on the break quite as easy. They still did catch them with long balls over the top after that, because they had to change the way they played Burton, and that still worked. That still got them into that final third without touching the middle of the field, and it did seem to work, but just not enough. It was a 2-1 win away at Burton. Burton 1, Birmingham 2. They did deserve the win, Birmingham, obviously, and that was a really good game. Now, if you look at the games so far for Stevenage, lose, win, lose, win. You know, they're not playing badly. It's a nice lower mid table performance, I think, that one. And like I said, you know, that Bristol Rovers side really did do quite well. There probably will be aggrieved they didn't win that one. So, they're in, let's see just where they are in the league. First place, obviously, for Birmingham, we know that. 14th place for Stevenage, on the beach on 55 points. I think realistically they're going to be trying a few things out here and just making sure that the fans enjoy these last 2 games as much as they can. They're playing this Birmingham side, win, lose, draw, win. The loss was against Peterborough in the Virtue Trophy. I think that Peterborough just wanted this more somehow. It just looked for me like they wanted it more. The Crawley draw 0-0. I don't know how that really happened. Perhaps two of you can tell me what your thoughts were on that in the comments. Really expected them to come away with a win against that one, but they didn't, even though they had 59% possession and 13 shots, 3 on target though. They'd have been quite dismayed they didn't get more shots of those 13 on target, Birmingham. I think that's realistically where the problem was. But 3 shots on target, Birmingham would usually get a goal from that. So any other time, that game would have been a win. And you can see the only loss of points there would have been, well, the Virtue Trophy, which isn't actually a loss of points. So I think that it's going to be a Birmingham win. Looking at things like the Barnsley 6-2 win, we can see that this Birmingham side can score multiple goals if they really try. This Stevenage side, though, wons 3-1 against Crawley, win 1-0 against Bristol Rovers, win. The others, they scored 1 against Blackpool in 3-1 defeats, none against Wycombe, none against Stockport, none against Leyton Orient. They're very, very poor at scoring, and actually, you know, if they only score against in the last 6 against Crawley and Bristol Rovers, what are they going to do against first place Birmingham? I can't see them scoring. I'm going to go with Stevenage 0. Birmingham 3, and we'll move on. Thank you very much, Birmingham fans. Stay tuned, we're going to go through the rest of the games now. So let's go with Bristol Rovers versus Reading, our first Saturday game. Bristol Rovers, obviously, we've just covered that one against Stevenage Town. They defeated against Stevenage Town, really should have got some points there. They just couldn't quite get that quality in front of goal, which I'm a little bit worried about, because Reading, of course, they won Mansfield Town 5-1 away from home. Most of those goals, though, were about the defensive errors and sometimes midfield errors from Mansfield Town. Some of them were absolute corkers, just failing to pass the ball properly from Mansfield player to Mansfield player, giving it away to a player like Lewis Wing is not a good idea. That goal was absolutely amazing, wasn't it? But some of that passing was dreadful in front, before all of those 5 Reading goals. So Reading took the chance, though, and that's what I mean about this Reading side. They didn't shirk their responsibility this late in the season. They saw the chance, they saw the opportunity, and seized it every single time. Absolutely brilliant by the Reading side there. Every single player knew their position, and as soon as Mansfield made a mess of it, especially with that last goal, you know, that defender should have been there, ready, waiting, making sure that Reading player couldn't just tap it in the net. Didn't do his job right, and again we see players just not quite doing their role in the Mansfield side. But Reading, certainly kept that side up there with all the others, didn't it? Let's just quickly look at the stats there. It was 65% possession to Mansfield, 15 shots, but only 3 of them on target. They just didn't seem to have that final quality of passed ball, and then we had the errors in defence or midfield to let Reading in. 35% possession to Reading, 9 shots, 5 on target and 5 in the net. Ouch! Really, really amazing. On a different day, 3 shots for Mansfield and 1 in net. You could give them a 1-1 or a 1-0 win. So it was actually quite an interesting game. That probably a little bit more even than what the score. Well, yes, certainly a bit more even than what the score said. However, they took their chances. 5-1 to Reading. Reading are actually buzzing, aren't they? Because Bristol Rovers lose, draw against Wrexham, out of the blue there, and Stevenage lose against Reading, lose, win, draw, lose, win, and that emphatic win takes Reading to equal 6, but they're in 7th on goal difference, 11 goal plus for Reading. 20 goal plus for Leyton Orient. They do need to get above Leyton Orient on points, Reading. So they'll be trying to win this one absolutely hands down. And against a Bristol Rovers side, it's just not clicking for it. Never does win in the bottom, does it? Rotherham know about that. But I just can't see this Bristol Rovers side, even though they're at home, getting anything from this. That away win at Mansfield shows that this Reading side can do it. And that crowd was amazing. Well done, Reading fans. That was brilliant. You cheer on that side, and we'll be all as fans, as true football fans, will be looking at you at the end of the season and hoping to God you stay in the league. So let's have a quick look. It's Bristol Rovers, lose, draw, lose. Reading, lose, win, draw, lose, win. I'm going to go for Bristol Rovers. No, I think Bristol might actually just fluke a goal. I'm going to go for Bristol Rovers 1 and Reading 3. I think that they've got their mojo back, Reading, and they're going to just try and prove what they can do as they go into the last 2 games and try and get into that top 6. Next game, please. So let's go with Orient versus Wycombe Wanderers first, I think, because that Orient-Wycombe game is going to be quite a good one. Orient, of course, in 6th place, just on goal difference. Wycombe in 3rd, holding on there, I think, at the minute with 84 points. You'll see what I mean when we go into the stats for this. We got Orient 2-1 winners away at Cambridge United, but Cambridge weren't out of this. Cambridge had some really good shots, and they were actually really good technically as well. These shots, one goal to Cambridge. They were lucky not to get at least 2, possibly 3 out of that game. They were actually really they played really well, as the stats prove in this game. Leyton Orient won 2-1. So what did those stats indeed say? We had 29% to Cambridge. However, 11 shots in 29%. That shows you they weren't afraid of shooting. But not only that, 6 of them were on target, 1 in the net. This side should have got at least 2, possibly 3 goals there. Leyton Orient, it's 71% possession, 15 shots. Isn't bad at all. 4 of those on target. Okay, slightly low for where they are in the league. However, 2 in the net, win 2-1. Who cares? They won the game. Cambridge will be feeling really, really dismayed that they didn't get something from that game. Wycombe Wanderers last time out, a home defeat, 4-0 to Charlton. And what was the goalie thinking? And look, I think the pass was back from his own player, so he can't pick it up. And he went down with his hands. Well, he knows damn well he can't pick it up. So, you have to have kicked it. So, if I'm right with that bit, then, it was just a mess by the goalkeeper. He knows what he should do. He knows he should have just kicked it straight back out. But it for some strange reason, bends over to try and pick it up. And I'm just totally dismayed by that one. Charlton's finishing, though. I've said this all along this season. They can play really technical football, usually at home. This was away from home, 4-0 to Charlton. Okay, you got that insane red card at the end for Anek on 90+3, but I don't think that Charlton side is going to really worry about this, because they do have a depth of squad that's really impressive. They got Leyton Orient, lose, draw, win. We've got Wycombe Wanderers, draw, lose, win, lose. Both these sides are doing really well. However, Wycombe are just floundering a little bit. They're looking a little bit jaded. And I'm still going to say that. I've said that for a couple of weeks, even though they have won their 3 before this defeat to Charlton. But against this Charlton side, they just, to me, looked a little bit jaded. They've got injuries. I do understand that. There's some people who said that in the comments. Thank you for commenting. Please do like and subscribe and comment like the Wycombe fans did. There are a few injuries there, so we are having a few issues. Let's just see how this pans out in the last 2 games. For me, I think though that this Leyton Orient side need this more than Wycombe do. Wycombe are 2 points behind Wrexham. However, can they get that second place? Once Wrexham have their noses in front with just 2 games left, I fear that this is, and this really is points-wise, the last chance for Wycombe to keep the pressure up to the last game. I think that it's not going to appear like that. What's the scores? Lots of 2s, 3s, 4s even for Leyton Orient. They're really scoring quite well, but Wycombe are just winning it by 1 or 2. I'm going to go with a score of Leyton Orient 3, Wycombe Wanderers 1, and we'll move on. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. So next up we have Barnsley, Shrewsbury. Barnsley played a 1-1 draw at home to Peterborough. This is really quite interesting because we've got Barnsley there in 12th, and it was against Peterborough in 17th. And realistically, these are two teams on the beach, and that's what it felt like. It felt like two teams that were playing an on the beach game where nothing really matters, and let's take the reins off and let's just do a few shots from distance, whereas usually they probably pass it gently and try and get it into the box for a closer shot on goal. This time, hey, it doesn't really matter. We'll have a quick shot from outside and we'll try a few different techniques perhaps, and a few different players in a few different positions. It was Barnsley 55% possession, 13 shots that really impressed me the most here. 4 shots on target, 1 in the net. I'd be quite happy about that. That's especially seen as they probably took the reins off the players and allowed them to play the game they wanted to play. Peterborough United 45% possession, 8 shots, 4 on target, 1 goal. They'll have been really pleased about those percentages. Peterborough. So Peterborough on the whole played probably better with the ball when they got it, but I think overall they were taking the whole game into consideration. Barnsley really should have won that one, I think. We had Shrewsbury then. They're playing Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury lost away to Northampton, and realistically, they just weren't in this game at all, were they? And one more, and this is the second time I've seen a howler from last week's games. Goalkeeper howlers. My God, how many do we have to have in the last couple of games? The Northampton side had 38% possession. Just 38% possession. 13 shots, 7 on target, 4 in the net. That is not bottom half statistics, is it, guys? You must admit. Shrewsbury Town, 62% possession, 12 shots. And that's not bad. 3 shots on target, even that's not particularly bad. 1 in the net. Those ratios for the bottom half is really good. On a different day, that would have won it. This was a really good game. Absolutely brilliant game. End-to-end stuff. Northampton were just more clinical. And I really enjoyed that Northampton play. Look, Shrewsbury did have the ball a lot more, and you could tell that their little short passes were actually very effective, and they more often than not they worked. However, when the Northampton side had that ball, you weren't going to get it off them until they got a shot off. So Northampton were the better side there, and that's what worries me about this Barnsley-Shrewsbury game, because at the minute you've got Barnsley in 12th on 58 points, so I can't go anywhere. You've got Shrewsbury Town relegated in 24th. They're not going anywhere. This game is again one of those. It's again one of those Barnsley-Peterborough games. Barnsley draw, lose, win against Bolton 4-1, and then lose against Leyton Orient 4-3, and a draw against Peterborough. You have to start thinking this is going all over the place for Barnsley, isn't it? Finally, they've started to be able to click, just as the boss starts to change things around a little bit. Against Shrewsbury Town, draw, lose, draw, lose. They just look. Like I said, that last game wasn't a 4-1. Well, it was a 4-1 win, and it deserved to be. But that Shrewsbury side actually played really well. They got some really good shots off. Just weren't clinical enough for that final shot. I have to think that. It must be a Barnsley win, mustn't it? I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game, though, because I think that Shrewsbury side can do well. I'm pondering whether it will be a high-scoring game or not, to be honest. I'm looking at this Barnsley side. I said that and thought, they can actually score, but they can actually let goals in. I'm going to go with Barnsley 2, Shrewsbury Town 1. I will move on. I think it's going to be one of those non-games that where everybody's on the beach and they're just going to try a few things out. So next it's Burton versus Cambridge United. Burton, of course, we followed those just now against Birmingham, and they lost 2-1. But they actually did really well. Some of those bursts through into defence and straight into the final third were really effective until Birmingham changed the way they played. And even then, Burton managed to change the way they played and went straight over the top. Hell, the tactics are really good at Burton. That really worked. They lost, but they lost against Birmingham, remember, and they are going to be champions. So that's a really, really key point there. Excuse me. Cambridge United, though, last time out, Leyton Orient 2-1 defeat. And Cambridge actually didn't do too bad, as I recall. Cambridge United there, 29% possession, but 11 shots, 6 on target. They'll be aggrieved with just 1 goal. They should have got at least 2, possibly 3. But they did let Leyton Orient have 71% possession and 15 shots. So even though only 4 of them were on target, they packed the box again. They did this trick that Cambridge and QPR shove all the players in the box if you're in defence, and quite often the ball gets blocked and goes elsewhere. They can do that really effectively, guys. Can they do anything here? We've got Burton needing the win. They're equal 21st, so they're in 20th position on 43 points. Bristol Rovers dead below them on goal difference with 43 points. Minus 16 goal difference for Burton, minus 27 for Bristol Rovers. That's not going to get overcome anytime soon. Cambridge United 38 points. Yeah, they're down into League 2 next season. Can they make a difference against this Burton side? I looked at this Cambridge game, and I just think that Cambridge against Burton is just a little bit too much to ask. Burton have been just proving that they can play some really good tactical football, and they can change tactics mid game, which is really, really good. And essentially, if they want to stay out of that bottom 4, I think Burton will will just edge it for me here. And I'm going to go. There's lots of 2-1s in here. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with Burton 2, Cambridge 1. I can just see it being one of those 2-1 games. I will quickly move on to the next game. So let's go Crawley versus Northampton. We'll look at the table here because Crawley are in 22nd, equal. There are 3 points behind, Bristol Rovers in 21st, and obviously 3 points behind safety of Burton Albion. However, the goal difference means they're 4 points behind. They need to get ahead of them. So 4 points, 6 points on the table. They would need to win here against Northampton. Let's have a look at the last 2 games. Northampton are in 18th, so they're now realistically, they are safe by 1 point. So they're now on the beach, thanks to their performances in the last few games. So we've got Crawley, win, lose, draw, win. Last time out, a win 3-1 against Exeter. I love the nutmeg before the second goal, by the way, Crawley fans. That nutmeg was just absolutely amazing. And didn't stop. I just carried on and got it in the net. Brilliant game there. 3-1 to Crawley with a red card for Ed Francis for Exeter on 89 minutes. Not quite sure how that one came about. from the pictures on the replays. Crawley Town there had the majority of this game, 54% possession, 15 shots, pretty decent, 7 of them on target, 3 in the net. They were really on fire today, and they did really well. Against an Exeter side, 46% possession, 5 shots, 2 on target. You know, for 40, they should have got more shots off, but they just didn't seem to click. And some of those bad passes for me were just. Crawley had 440 passes and Exeter had 366. Both teams trying to do short little passes, but too many of those little passes went awry from Exeter, and it ended up with a Crawley win 3-1. And Crawley seemed to be doing a little bit of back to basics here. So I was quite interested in that. And of course, Northampton, who they're playing, 4-1 winners at home to Shrewsbury Town. And realistically, you know, they had that game sewn up there. Northampton, 38% possession, 13 shots for heaven's sake, 7 on target, 4 in the net. You know, Northampton were firing here. Shrewsbury Town, 62% possession, 12 shots, 3 on target, 1 in the net. Yeah, that's not bad. And on another day, that would have been enough to win that game 1-0. But they didn't. They lost it 4-1. So we're going to the Crawley Northampton scoreline here. What do we think of this game? Crawley win, lose, draw against Birmingham, remember, 0-0, and a win against Exeter. Northampton Town, draw, lose, win, draw, lose, win. Northampton, I think, now on the beach and are thinking, well, you know, we've done it, guys. We've won against Shrewsbury. We're now safe. I think that they were just a lot more clinical in front of the goal than Shrewsbury. Will that clinical ability show? Well, actually, Crawley Town were also very clinical as well. These two sides could end up with a 1-1 draw. Really could. I think Crawley are wanting to go out with a bang and try and make sure that if we get 3 points and if everything else goes our way, you know, perhaps we could pull off an absolute miracle, finish on 46, and Burton and Bristol Rovers will just get 1 or 2 points in the last 2 games. Don't think it will happen, but I think it may happen here. I'm going to go for Crawley Town 1, Northampton Town 0. It could be a 1-1. And we'll move on to the next game. Please do like and subscribe. So let's go. Exeter versus Huddersfield. Exeter, of course, against Crawley. 3-1 defeat there for Exeter. Exeter also losing Ed Francis on 89 minutes. Will it make a difference? Well, we'll say that in a minute, will we, when we look at the Huddersfield last game. Crawley Town, I think, deserved winners, really. They kept Exeter to 46% possession, 5 shots, 2 on target, 1 in the net. Those ratios are really good. However, you know, they've really got to be shooting more than 5. Crawley did a really good technical job on them there, really good, and the fans should be really proud of the way they played. Huddersfield, they're playing against, and it's Huddersfield lost 2-1 at Stockport County. And Huddersfield started really well in this game, and they really did power through. I'm not quite sure about the rolling on the ground by the Stockport players. The red card for Callum Marshall, you can't really tell how much of a contact with his face you got, but the guy went down holding his face as if he'd just been hit by a sledgehammer. Please, you know, I detest players who go down over-exaggerating things. You know, it really would have taken some hit for you to have to hold both hands on your face and roll around like a crying baby. It may very well have been a red card. I'll be quite honest, I can't see it. But the actions afterwards, I deplore completely. So Stockport there, let's have a look at what Huddersfield did. Stockport got 55% possession, 19 shots, 8 on target, 2 in the net. Yeah, very good statistics. They should be really happy about at least the way they played and the way they controlled that game, because they reduced Huddersfield to 45% play, 8 shots, but 5 of them were on target. And this Huddersfield side can make most of their shots on target, and they really are rather good at making sure they at least get it on target, even if it doesn't go in the net. 5 on target, 1 in the net. They'll be a little bit disappointed that side can do better technically. 5 shots, you would usually expect that side to get at least 2 of those in the net. But they lost 2-1, and it's just the history of the last few games for Huddersfield, isn't it? They've had injuries. They've now got injuries and tired legs by the looks of it. So Exeter, we've got win, lose, draw, win, draw, lose. And for Huddersfield, we have lose, win, lose, 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 lose. I think that now we're seeing that Huddersfield are on the beach. They're not going to get. They can't get to the 6th place anyway. A bit of a sad demise over the last few months, really, hasn't it, for Huddersfield? And only 7 draws, which is for the top half is it's actually one of the bottom 3. So it's they either win it or they lose it. That's the statistic that I find interesting, because Exeter in 16th, they are on the beach as well. So we've got 2 sides here that are on the beach. They're just wanting to give the home fans a little bit of something to play for and to cheer for and enjoy these last 2 games. I think Exeter can do this. They're going into this game slightly ahead for me, just a little bit. That's why I'm going to go with Exeter 1, Huddersfield 0, and move on. I think that we've got a few on the beach sides here, haven't we, guys? So let's go Peterborough versus Bolton. Bolton are in 8th and they're on 66 points. So they can make it, but their goal difference alone is so far behind. They really can't. And they'd have to have Leyton Orient and Reading lose both of their last 2 games. Not going to happen, is it? So they're realistically the highest position team on the beach. Against Peterborough on 50 points in 17th. Again, they're on the beach as well. So it's 2 teams on the beach. We've got Peterborough win, lose, lose, win, draw, draw. Those last 2 games have just got them over the line there. They've been playing some decent football as well, and I'm not really sure how they've managed to be down there in that bottom zone. The Barnsley 1-1 last time out, and they scored first. It was just a game of 2 teams that were on the beach. Peterborough 45% possession, reduced to 8 shots, but 4 of them on target, 1 in the net. That was actually really good defensive play by Barnsley. However, for the rest of the game, it really was a little bit of a dull on the beach game. Just let's go out there and enjoy yourself and have a few long shots that you would usually just tap short and try and get it further into the net, into the 6-yard box to try and get a closer shot off. The things that you would do mid-season went out of the window. And let's just enjoy yourself, and that's what I saw from that game. And then you've got the other game to consider as well. So that one was Lincoln versus Bolton. So obviously Bolton here are the team we're looking at. Lincoln 4, Bolton 2. That penalty, though, was absolutely not a penalty, was it? I mean, let's face it. He drew that penalty. He saw the he pushed the ball forward, and the guy knew that the defender was going to try and get to the ball. And as he tried to reach to the ball and just stepped his foot forward to tap the ball, the guy just went straight in, jumped on the floor, and it became a penalty. Not really a penalty for me. Bolton will feel a little bit aggrieved here, and I think the referee don't usually comment on the referee. I thought the referee was a little bit one-sided in this game. We saw Bolton with 57% possession in 12 shots and 4 on target. That's actually really good. 4 on target, 2 in the net, even better. Look, I don't know about the red card either for Cogley, so I'm a little bit dismayed at this. Bolton I think will feel a little bit, well, probably more than a little bit aggrieved in this game. It was Lincoln City 4, Bolton 2, and going into this game, obviously both of them really on the beach. Let's look at those again. Peterborough win, lose, lose, win, draw, draw. Bolton win, win, lose, 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 lose. I think there's nothing to gain from either of these sides now. Peterborough though they've just done it right at the right time, haven't they? 2 games to go. I can see Peterborough wanting to really try and do something in this home game so that they can finish their season on a bang at home. But Bolton won't want them to do this, and they'll want to turn around these last 4 games, because otherwise, what's going to happen to the manager here? Because let's face it, the whole management system probably needs a quick boot up the arse. It just seems to be not quite working. It's a difficult one for me because I know that Bolton have been letting in silly goals. They've been doing lots and lots of shooting, lots of possession, but not getting those goals in the net. It's going to be a very difficult one for me to predict, but I think that defence is going to take the majority of my thoughts here. I'm going to go with Peterborough 3, Bolton 2, and we'll move on to the next game. So next we go, Stockport County versus Lincoln City. Stockport and Lincoln. Stockport are in 5th on 81 points, and they're certainly in that playoff zone now. And they actually slipped down just a little bit, haven't they? Didn't think they would do what they did. And Lincoln City are in 11th on the beach on 61 points. So, but their stats are brilliant, Lincoln City's. If we look at the last games for Stockport, we have win, 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 draw, win. They are on fire now, aren't they? They did just drop from that. They look like they might actually be in that top 3, 4, and then they just dropped a place or 2. I really thought that they were going to keep up that right up there. They just had a little bit of a blip, not much. And then they sort of regathered their efforts, and in the last 6 games just dropped 2 points. Lincoln City lose, win, draw, draw, win, win. Get that one right. So they too have started to show they've kept up this amazing statistical data that they've got. The statistics have been brilliant. And now they started to get results from it just at the wrong time, just too late. Had they done this right in the middle, and they haven't really changed much. I haven't seen what they've changed. So if you're a Lincoln fan, please do tell me what they've changed. I can't see what they've changed to suddenly improve this. 2 teams that are really doing very well. Stockport County last time out, 2-1 winners at home to Huddersfield. We'll forget the red card for Huddersfield. It didn't really make any difference whatsoever. I think that Stockport, with the 55% possession, 19 shots, 8 on target, 2 in the net. That's pretty much what we'd expect. And they played a really good technical game there. Really stuck to the game plan. And that's why it worked. Lincoln City last time out, 4-2 winners at home to Bolton. Not a penalty in a million years. And the red card, well, for Bolton, that's a bit iffy for me as well, to be quite honest. So I'm gonna praise Lincoln. I think they played really well. I think that I think even without that penalty, they probably would have won this game just about. However, it's the first time ever I'm going to comment on the referee, and think some of his decisions were just a little bit awry, I think. However, What do we think of the game itself? I think both of these teams can score and can score well. Both of these teams also have got a pretty good defensive record. You may say, well, why did Bolton score 2 against Lincoln City? However, it is Bolton. Bolton have a really good forward line, and usually that's a good forward line that's really technical. I can see these two going quite well against each other. I'm going to go with Stockport County 2, Lincoln City 2, and we'll go and have our first draw, I think that one, isn't it? And we'll move on to our next game. So let's go. Wigan, Blackpool. Wigan last time out winners at home, 1-0 to Rotherham. Rotherham just they tried a few changes with a few of the unknowns coming into the side, partially because of the injuries, and they tried a few different tactics. However, that some of those players, the boss was right, they just didn't quite tick and didn't play the way we know they can do. So there'll be a few changes, I think, in the summer. Wigan they just seemed to want it more. That final ball was better, the final shot was better, and I think that Wigan deserved that win. Just to go quickly through their stats, it was Wigan 41% possession, 16 shots, 8 on target, 1 in the net. Really should have been about 2-0, 2-1 there, I think. But they did deserve the win, and they did get it. Blackpool. I thought that Blackpool might do well against Wrexham. However, they lost 2-1 at home to Wrexham, and Blackpool got that late consolation on 90 plus 5 minutes. Wrexham playing their usual great technical football, and by that I mean 44% possession. Quite often they don't have 50% or more possession, but they do a lot with with the ball when they've got it. 44% possession, 11 shots. Now that's not as much as what I would expect from them. However, 6 shots on target. Do expect something like that from this Wrexham side. 6 shots on target, 2 in the net. Yeah, pretty good. They're usually really, really good on that conversion ratio. That's probably probably what I'd expect. Probably a little bit better, I would expect, than that slightly. Blackpool, though, 9 shots from their 56% possession. Not that good, was it? Wrexham managed to keep them at bay and keep them out quite well with that back line. And 2 shots on target, 1 in the net. So 2 shots on target, 1 in the net's actually quite good. So they didn't play too badly, I don't think, Blackpool. However, came away with a 2-1 defeat at home. Quickly look at the positions again. 10th for Blackpool on the beach. Are they 6th place Bolton? 6th place Leyton Orient on 72. Yeah, they're on the beach against 16th place Wigan on the beach. Yeah, I can see this one being one of these. Wigan are trying to turn it around and show that they can actually play some really good football after having quite a long period of not playing very well. The technical side seems to have gone awry a little bit, but they seem to, probably since about the Leyton Orient draw, I think they've started to play, tick a little bit more, play a little bit better, little technicalities. Certainly that last ball has proven with the Rotherham 1-0 win against, at home to Rotherham. Just seem to be taking my eye a little bit over this Blackpool side, which at home are brilliant, defensively brilliant. On the road, they're just showing that they can let in 1 or 2 goals. I think it's going to be a tight one, this one, actually, and I think that Wigan might just shave it. I'm going to go with Wigan 1, Blackpool 0, and move to the last game, shall we? So the last game of Saturday is Wrexham versus Charlton. Wrexham versus Blackpool was the last game, and Wrexham obviously won that game 2-1. Kept Blackpool at bay very nicely. Lots of shots on goal, as we've just mentioned, and a good percentage on target, and they got 2 of those in the net, as we would expect. Charlton last time out 4-0 winners against Wycombe, and Wycombe just seemed to be showing a bit of jaded there, and they've also got a couple of injuries, and you're thinking they did really, really well, this Charlton side. They're showing their ability to be absolutely lethal when they've got the ball. We've got Wrexham in second, we've got Charlton in fourth, and if I look at the stats and we see Wrexham win, draw, win, draw, draw, win, Wrexham just seem to be a little bit, okay, they've got a good depth of squad. I don't think injuries for this side really make any difference at all. Suspensions, injuries wouldn't make a single bit of difference for these. So I'm going to take the Wrexham side as it is, just slightly getting a little bit fatigued as they get towards the last 3 or 4 games, really. And Charlton, who seem to be going completely the opposite, getting better, actually, or like a good wine, just improving as the time goes on. The last 3 games, we've got 1 win for Wrexham, 3 out of 3 for Charlton. I think this is going to be a good Charlton win here, and I'm going to go with Wrexham 0, Charlton 3. I think Charlton can show this Wrexham side how to really improve that technical finish. Because although Wrexham can finish really technically, I think that in the midfield, certainly getting into that attacking position, Charlton have it for me by probably quite a way. So we'll go with a Charlton win. Thank you very much for Saturday's games. So we move on to Sundays, and truly the last 2 games of League One. Stevenage versus Rotherham. Stevenage last time out 1-0 winners away at Bristol Rovers. Really, Bristol should have got a little bit more out of that game than that. Rotherham United just not. I mean, some of those final shots were just dreadful. Just came to grief against that Wigan side. 1-0 defeat away. Wigan deserving to win it, to be quite honest. Stevenage, lose, win. Rotherham, win, lose, draw, lose. Rotherham don't really have the ability to change some of those players that didn't play very well and didn't try their utmost to get a better performance out of them. So we do have an issue there, whether he can do something. Hopefully he can. But he's got to play with what players he was given. The new manager, can he get something out of this against a Stevenage side, to me, that is just a little bit on the beach, jaded? I think it's going to be a typical on the beach game, and I'm going to support my side. I'm going to go with Stevenage 0, Rotherham 1, and we'll move on to the very final game. This is a Sunday game, Birmingham versus Mansfield. Now, Mansfield actually played well, but the back line of Mansfield made so many errors. Can't believe just giving it to Lewis Wing, and you know what he can do. Cracked in the back of the net. Birmingham last time out 2-1 winners away at Burton, and Burton showed that you can get past that Birmingham back line at first by powering through everybody, sprinting through on the break. And then when Birmingham realised what they were doing, blocked it off, and they started going over the top. And it really did show that although they lost Burton, they could actually get past that line. They showed that if they can do it, other people can as well. Will Mansfield do it? Mansfield tend to do pretty football. I don't think they're going to be attacking them in the way they really need to do, roughly like Bolton did, and play from the back off, or like Mansfield did, like Burton did, and either lob it over the top or sprint at them. I think that Mansfield just don't have that in their game plan. Birmingham win, lose, draw, win. Champions now, so they're probably not. They're probably just wanting to go out and play their best football for the last 2 games as they get promoted to the Championship. Mansfield win, lose, draw 3-3 against Rotherham, and then by the referee's help, and then lost 5-1 at home to Reading. back line, and let me tell you that Birmingham side can score goals, can't it? And if you're going to give them the ball in the back, they're going to start scoring. I'm afraid, Roy, I'm going to go with Birmingham 4, Mansfield 0. I just can't see if that back line does the same as what it did in the last game against Reading. They're going to get punished. That's John S.'s Sports Channel over for one more video. Please like and subscribe, and you'll have more, including our watch-alongs on Saturday. Like and subscribe. See you later.